Hey guys, this is Ross A. Campbell, a comic book colorist here. I'm here doing a quick tutorial on how I do a cel-shaded sort of style. It's quite simple. I primarily use the pencil tool and the eraser tool, but there are some steps in between I imagine that need some explaining, and yeah, it'd just be good to explain it for anyone who's interested. So what I've got here is Morrigan drawn by Mike Bowden. We collaborated earlier on a piece that ended up looking like this. Mike wasn't too happy with Morrigan, so we're coming back and redoing it, and I figured I would show exactly how I do it, just for any interested, and hopefully it'll be instructive. I'll be speeding up a lot of the parts just to make it go quicker, because once I've done the explaining, like, you'll need to go in and start, like doing all the rendering and picking the colors and whatnot. Like, there's no need to see the whole process, but I will stop and explain what I need to explain as I go along. So what I want to do here is well, I've already kind of cleaned up the lines a bit. What I like to do is change it to grayscale. So you go image mode grayscale, you press Ctrl L for levels, you bring up this middle slider towards the right and bring the right slider towards the left a little bit, and it'll just make the blacks blacker and the whites whiter. It'll end up a wee bit messy. Still, like, as you can see around here, it's a bit rough. However, once you get it colored, and I usually do this kind of color hold on the lines once I'm finished, you're not going to see any of it. It's there's no need to make it perfect, basically. So once you've adjusted the levels to how you feel fits the piece, what you do is you go into channels. Over here, layers, channels, paths. You go into channels, you hold down Control, and you right click in the center of the small thumbnail there. That'll select all the blacks around, and what you want to do is select inverse with any selection tool. Make sure you've already named your layer something else up in the background, otherwise you won't be able to delete anything. So select inverse and delete. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, don't even select inverse, my bad. Don't select inverse, just delete, and it'll delete the whites around it. So basically, you've got only blacks and the rest is alpha, is empty. What you want to do is click on this checkered pattern here in the lock. Select blacks. Just get a big pencil for this. Alright, select black over here, or D, on your keyboard shortcuts, and just make sure it's completely filled in. If you don't do this, then it won't be solid black. There'll be black at the darkest parts, but around it will be grey. And we want everything to be black as we can. So, okay, now we've got our lines sorted out. Make a new layer, call it flats. I like to keep things organized. Drag it underneath the lines. This is all basic shit, it's I think most people who've tried to color will know this already, but just for the sake of explanation, I will say it here. So this is Photoshop CC that I'm using, which has a magnetic lasso tool. I think previous versions also had it, but I'm not sure how far back it goes. But anyway, magnetic lasso tool, you'll find it in the menu just above your color choices here. You just left click on that. No, right click, sorry. I'm getting my fucking clicks messed up here, right, sorry. Okay, well, now that I fucking realized that, when you go to channels and you select the grey by Control and right click, I said, it's supposed to be left click, so my bad. Okay, yeah, so right click on this wee menu here and you'll find magnetic lasso tool right here. Yeah, I don't know, I don't think this is how or it could be. I'm not a good flatter. You know, I just like to get things done quickly and sometimes messily, but it's okay because I can clean them up afterwards. It's no biggie. But anyway, what's great about lasso tool is a magnetic lasso tool is you can start and you can just vaguely, you know, just vaguely hover over where you want it to go, and it'll kind of fill in. Like, there's no need to be super precise, you know, like the computer will do it for you. So I'll just do most of this and probably stop talking now, and I'll speed this up, and you know, you can see it once I'm done. I'm basically just doing the flats. It'll take a wee bit, you know, maybe 10-15 minutes, or maybe less, I don't know. Anyway. Alright, here I've realized that I've not changed it back to CMYK color, so you have to be careful when you're doing this. Always change it at the beginning, because if you change it once you've already done the piece, the flats are going to be an issue selecting, because for some reason it makes it a bit grainy once you convert it, and that means that you have a tougher time selecting with the magic wand tool exactly the colors you want. So CMYK color, always better for print generally. Again, I'm no expert, although I should be, but that's what I always use. So select don't merge here, delete what I just had in there, and use the proper color that I intended. It's a good idea to kind of quickly clean up the flats as you go. As you see, it's a bit dirty here. Just need a quick touch up around the edges. And once you get the touch up around the edges the first time, it's much easier to get the rest of the colors in, because we'll be using the magic wand a fair bit, and once we so as I'm saying, once we've got the edges done the first time, then we'll just magic wand the entirety of the first color, and there's no need to redo the outer edges. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, especially if it's fire or any type of other light effect, because I'll be adding a glow to that, and it'll go over the lines a little bit, so it's not crazy important to get that done. Alright, so like I said, we can magic wand that. Magic wand is the W key for a shortcut. And I don't know, I usually like to start with the main color being purple, but it looks like the hair will be the other color that will take up most of the space, so I'll just pick the hair color here. But I already have the palette done in the previous piece, so I'm just taking from there. And still using the magnetic wand, magnetic lasso tool, you click to, I think that's, oh no, intersect with selection it's called. So you've got add to subtract from and intersect with the selection. Intersect will pick, it's almost like it'll select within the selection basically. So go back to magnetic lasso tool, and I'll go around the hair. Because the outer bits are already selected, I can, there's no need to be precise around the outer edges, because we've already done that, you know. We can just leave it higgledy-piggledy, and it's no biggie. Ah, bugger. Yeah, one thing with flats is I'm doing them a bit wrong here. I'm not putting a lot of thought into it, which I kind of should, but it's really not my strength. I think it's also important to note when you get down to these smaller details, for example the hands I could have done with the pencil tool, because well, it's just very quick and easy to just press B and get the edges perfect. I think another good example would be I've noticed I've missed out bits in the hair in between these fur bits here, so pick the hair color, your eyedropper tool, and instead of lassoing, just get the pencil tool in there for a quick touch. And you're sorted. There's no need to go through the lasso tool for like small areas like that. And for me, if you're trying to be precise, it's yeah, it's just a pencil tool job. Alright, so pink. Cream. If you are using a pencil tool, generally magic wand the color that you want to go over, increase your brush size if you have to, and at first just blotch it in like so. There's no need to be precise there. Drop your brush size down. And in for precision. Oh, there's another bit of skin I missed. We love heart here. So again, pencil tool right in there. Alright, so now we've got the flats done. Not too shabby, but not super neat either. But, you know, it serves a purpose. It's gonna look okay. Like, I think the main reason why a lot of artists work, well, I imagine all artists work in high definition, high resolution rather, is because it's only gonna look about this big when you actually get down to the product. However, this is 100% on the PC, you know, like, it means you can ignore a lot of like little flaws that no one's gonna notice right now. So yeah, you're allowed to be a bit messy, it doesn't matter. Right, so now that I've got the flats done, I want to lock the flats layer and make sure that I don't ever change that. That's going to be my foundation for everything. I'm always going to come back and use my magic wand tool on the colors that I've got on this layer. So right click and duplicate. I like to call this one render. And now we can control left click on this wee thumbnail, and that'll select the whole, everything that's in that layer. Right, I like to create a new layer, name it cars for characters, even if there's only one, you know, it's just habit. Select a grey, generally quite dark, and paint bucket in. Now, what this allows us to do is create a new layer, pick a lighter grey, and now what we're going to do is this is the simple part. This is where the pencil tool and the eraser tool come into play. Is I'm going to use a lighter grey for all the highlights, and what I like to do is choose the eraser, hold down Shift and right click and select pencil. So that basically makes the eraser pixelated. It's good for the anti-aliasing and whatnot. So it's all solid and pixelated now. Like if you zoom in far enough, this is a pencil tool now. There's no what you fade in it, you know. So that's what we want, just for easy color pickings later. So we're going to use the eraser tool and the pencil tool. So select them both and get them to a general size that you like. Generally the same, and now we can actually start taking away. So this lighter grey is where the light's hitting, and where we subtract will be where the shadows begin. So for example, in the previous one, this image, light's coming from above, so generally we're going to want to shade that way in this one as well, because we need to insert her into the image again. So this is where it gets kind of, I find, a little bit tricky. You know, this is where you generally don't have any idea what you're doing. You just get a feel for it as you go, as you progress in the arts, I guess. But anyway, a good starting point would be the face. So slightly looking down, maybe that area is going to be in shade. So just block in your major shadows. Cast shadow here. And the hair will be in quite a bit of shadow here. And when you get something wrong, you're like, oh, you know, maybe not too much shadow there. Just switch back to the pencil, which is B, and E and B, you can just switch between the pencil and eraser. Okay, so that's looking relatively good. There's probably many mistakes that I've not taken into consideration. Like, the general sense of this is the light's coming from above, and you know, it looks good. What's good about the whole grey thing is it allows you to focus on the light values instead of, you know, color choices immediately. So it really just puts it in it just simplifies things for you, you know, like focus on one thing at a time. Don't you know, muddle your head up if just thinking too much, like color choices and like the rendering at the same time. Just like keep it real simple and get the values down first. Alright, and now obviously it's quite messy, so I'm gonna go in and refine, and I guess that'll be like another speed up kind of business. I don't think there's a lot to talk about there. Just make it neat, you know. Alright, well, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get it for the amount of time I'm willing to spend on it. Like, you always have to kind of decide when to stop, otherwise you're just gonna keep on going and going and going, and then you're never gonna like it. So I'm quite happy with that. I found the balance between that's looking cool, it's not perfect, but it's looking cool. So right, next step. Okay, now we've got this light grey on a separate layer, as you can see here, and that's on purpose. It's just so we can easily do the control and left click in the wee thumbnail here. We can delete that now, but we've got that selection made. we go back down to render, and we could just do a copy paste. So Control C, Control V, right? We can also make this characters layer invisible, and I'd just like to have it on top of above the lines. I always want it on the top of the layer list, so I can just keep on coming back to it and do like a quick select like that. It's just handy. Anyway, so we've got our new layer of what we just rendered. Basically, we've got the highlights on a separate layer, and because we've copied and pasted it from the render layer here, they're already in color. So all we can do now is Control U, which brings up the hue and saturation, or alternatively go to where is it? Image adjustments, and where are we? Hue saturation there. Right, bump up the saturation, bump up the lightness, and you can see there's already, you know, the highlights are coming to life already. Generally, once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to go and refine your color choices. So, you know, like not everything's looking great here. It's you know, the hue saturation tool is cool because, you know, like you bring the brightness up and whatnot, but I really recommend going in and picking the colors. Because I've already colored Morrigan in this piece, this previous one here, I can just go in and pick the color choices I already made. As you can see, like these layers are quite organized. I like to keep everything on a separate layer, basically. So where are we? Okay, so hair color, skin color. I just slap that on here. Wings, purple, the pink, the cream, the bats, and I think that'll be it. Alright, what I'm noticing, however, is I think in this render layer I've darkened the base colors. So this is why the character layer up here comes in handy. You can just control left click to select your selection, go to render, do the Control U again, and just drop the brightness, so it kind of bumps up the intensity of the lighting. I'd say that's about right. The fire we can get rid of. I think, how did I do this on this last piece here? Okay, so there was some slight rendering, although it looks like it's done in pencil, but we'll get to the fire at the end. Alright. So the highlight layer, I just like to name capital HL. HL for highlights, and capital because often I like to go in and make a new layer, do small HL, and that'll be like some really, just like a brighter set of highlights if needed, but because it's cell shading style, we don't really need that, so we can get rid of. And okay, so with the next step basically is pick your color, and we're going to just make a gradient with the pencil tool basically. So bring your pencil tool up to like a decent pencil tool, excuse me, eraser tool. Bring your eraser tool up to a decent size. Shift right click and make sure it's back to brush. I like to set the flow at 10% and a soft brush like that. So with the flow at 10%, I can now just slightly dab at it, and it'll give it a slight gradient. Like, so if the light's coming from the top, just smooth it out at the bottom, you know, and it'll look like there's a a gradient in light, you know, like it's getting slightly darker towards the bottom. So it's not traditional cell shading, I guess, but it does kind of make a difference. It just adds to it, you know. It looks a lot nicer, a lot smoother. So do that for the hair. We'll do that for the skin here. On some occasions, you'll have to focus a little bit more. You'll have to choose a selection. You can't always, well, you can if you want, but I like to choose a selection. So I'll do this bit of skin here. However, for the boobs, you want to make sure that, well, it's the important part. Well, one of the important parts really is, you know, like you have to make the boobs look sexy. Like it's unheard of that, you know, you just so it just wouldn't do to not put a bit of attention into them, you know. So over here, select around here again, and basically you're just selecting so you can do the gradient here with your eraser, but not touch the other boob or stomach area there. So it just pays to have a little attention to detail like that. Alright, skin is done. Here's this purple. Alright, the pink here. So yeah, you just do every color as much as you think it needs, you know. Like, you might not even notice it in the video, but it's only like a slight fading of the color of the highlight into the base color. Hardly enough to notice, but yeah, like I say, it's just an extra thing that makes it nice, and it doesn't take long at all, you know. It's all about time saving. Like I love to time save, and I love to keep things simple. So, all right, I think that is. Oh no, I didn't choose a color for the wee horns here. Okay, so next, that's us sorted for our main light source. Our main highlights are done. But I do believe in this file, yeah, that's right, I created a blue secondary source you can see along the leg here, predominantly. I'm gonna go and add in some of that. It just enriches the image and the character, so I'll have that on a separate layer here. I'll pick the color that I used. Okay, got it here. So, what makes it quicker and easier is to make a new layer, name it second with a capital ND, because you might go in and create a second lowercase nd just to, again, add to it. It's just my way of arranging things. It just makes sense to me. So, name it second. Go into mode, choose hard light, and bring it down to 3540, the opacity. And what that will allow us to do is we can just go over with this blue over any color, and it'll change its what we see of the color according to the base color. So if it's going over the green, it'll be different to the blue that we see on the purple. Slightly different, but it's again another time saver, priceless time saver actually. So again, select our character layer, so we've got this whole selection around her, just so we don't go out of the layers. And this blue is going to be coming from just the bottom, you know, like basic light from above, secondary from bottom. It's fine. So this is just going to be quick. We're using the pencil and the hard brush again. So to get back to the hard eraser, excuse me. So to get back to the hard eraser, you hold down Shift, right click, and choose pencil. So both the eraser and the pencil have got that pixely, very solid, no fade line about them. And I think I mentioned earlier, the reason for that is we can just go into the layers that we have here and easily select the color that we want. It's quick and easy and very neat, you know. Alright, so usually just start from the bottom and just kind of mold the light around the leg how you think it would be. Like I said, I'm not a phenomenal artist by myself, but I get a general sense of form, and I think the more you improve, the more sense of form you get. So I kind of know where to put them naturally now. But yeah, if you don't know where to put them, I guess practice. But yeah, just practice.
Because in order to understand what the self is, you have to remember that it doesn't need to remember anything. Just like you don't need to know how you work the thyroid gland.
I find with the secondary light sources, we've started out with the main things that we need to preoccupy ourselves with. So get the main light source done, get your color palette chosen, and now we can actually, it doesn't, the secondary color sources or thirds or whatever, they can be quite not untidy, but you don't have to spend a lot of time on them because they're secondary, you know, like we're not going to focus a lot of attention on that, so just breeze through it, you know, like you don't have to zoom in and, you know, make sure everything's looking okay here, you know. It's unnecessary, but if you want to go for it, you know. You can spend a lot of time on it if you want, you know. Like I find like my way of working is, you know, like get things done fast while you're still pumped about them, and well, also, you know, it's great for pay, you know. Like if you get things done fast, then the quicker you're going to get paid, the more you're going to get done. So yeah, and I suppose if you're a colorist, you know, you will get some shit deadlines. So the quicker you can do shit, you know, all the better. You'll get more work, you'll get more pay. Just, you know, like always look for your main shortcuts. There's one thing I've just noticed that I'm doing that might be good to explain. The secondary light source does not ever touch the first light source, the primary light source, and I think what that does, it leaves a separation between the two. Like instead of having them touch here, like I'll just do a quick example. What's good about not having them touch is the separation, so you're able to see, like, I think it gives more aesthetically. I'm having a fucking hard time explaining this. I think what it does is, because you see the separation and you see the shadow, it's more appealing to the eye, and I guess it would make more sense, you know, like it looks better, you know, because you see the shadow. Otherwise, like, if you just color that in, like, it doesn't look like it's the secondary light source. It looks like that's just the base color, you know. So I think it's always a good idea to leave that separation there. I guess it's more of, perhaps even more of a stylistic choice, but I guess that's the point of this video, you know, like, these are my methods and stylistic choices, so, you know, you choose your own. Alright, so we've got that done. We can go back and do what I done with the primary light source. Make your eraser into a soft brush again. Choose a soft brush, get it to a size where seems appropriate and just lightly brush over it. Almost imperceptibly changing it, but all makes a difference. Alright, next, I think let's tackle the fire. So it's going to be quick and easy. Go back to flat, select the fire, and I'm just going to use the colors I used in here. Why not? Pick the base color, pick this yellow here. And for this, you can go into your highlight layer if you want, but for things like lighting effects and say like a light bulb or like fire, like we're currently doing, they're not as subject to change, I find. So there's no need to have it on an extra layer. What is good, however, is do create a layer. However, once you're done with it, just merge it into the render layer. So create a layer, use a big soft brush. I usually keep my brushes at 10% flow, so you can just go in there, pick a brighter color, and light brush over the over where the brightest point would be, I guess, so it creates that gradient. Create another layer, pick another color, pick a brighter color, and then add in a bit of detail if you care to. So using a pencil. Alright, I'm dropping the opacity of that first gradient that I've done, just so this texture this rendering that I'm going to put with pencil is more visible. Right. So on the new layer that we created, just add in what you think fire would look like, you know. And I'm using the pencil for this because like the rest, the coloring style is blocky, so we might as well stick with it, you know. But you know, you're able to you decide, like, if you want to make it more just like the elements, you know, like say there's a lot of styles where like background and stuff, like a la Studio Ghibli, you know, like you can have your cell shading and kind of blocky color in your characters, but like the backgrounds and everything are like so beautifully done and rendered. It's cool just how that kind of mix of styles in there. So if you so choose, you know, there's no wrong or right way. I think it's whatever appeals to you most. Right, and we've still got that soft eraser, so just erase a little bit. Again, it keeps the blockiness of it, but it does blend it in a little bit. Alright, so I will then create a new layer and just add an extra kind of highlight, an extra render, just to give it that bit more detail. Of course, like it could be like Artist 101, but it deserves to be said, I guess. Like every time you make another highlight, the highlight that you're adding should exist already within the highlight that you've got, and that'll create a sense of 3D-ness, I guess. And there we are, we got some decent looking fire. Maybe what I will do is add another layer, and I'll just add in some pure white at the hands here. And so just, yeah, I think that's looking a bit better. There's no like fucking right way to do it, you just, whatever looks best. You know, like if it means you have to stop, like your current, your cycle, I guess, you know, if you're having to stop what you're doing and just going in there, it's usually worth doing. Like you need to stray from the path sometimes, so you can just add a little extra thing. So, alright, so that was that's 4 extra layers just for that fire. But what I'm going to do is merge them all into that render layer. So layer 1, Control E, that means merge down. Layer 2, Control E, Control E, Control E. So now that's all in the render layer. What next? Right. Okay, the glow for the fire. That's a quick and easy one. What I do is you use your flats layer to select it, go up to your render layer, control and paste again, and to move this layer up above the lines layer. Now that means that it's gone slightly over the lines here. You can't see them because they're underneath. So what we can do here is control, right click on the thumbnail of lines, and that'll select everything that's in that layer and just delete. So what the lines will become apparent here. What we can do now is double click on, let's name it fire. Name our fire layer. Double click on the fire layer. It'll open up these layer styles options and go down to outer glow. And as you can see, what that'll do is I'll create a glow for the fire, right? What you should do, the blend mode will probably be at normal up here. I like to have a hard light, so you should probably try that as well. And you pick your color, pick whatever type of red you feel it should be. It's good for any type of color, you know. So if you've got a green fire, you know, you just click a shade of green that you would like. I go to the size here, adjust the size. That looks quite powerful, and then you adjust the range, and that'll be like the range at which the gradient kind of dissolves. So I'll select OK. That's looking not bad. There's a bit of darkness here, but we can go over that once we've done our color holds and just like refine it. Next step. It looks like. Alright, well I think we're done actually with our render here. So select all your free layers here, your highlight, second and render layer, and create a group, which is Control G, and I'll put them in a group just like for to keep things tidy in Photoshop. We'll duplicate the group, color render, and merge down. And that'll just mean you've got everything on one layer completely, and you can just adjust the whole layer now. So for example, if I wanted to brighten it, I could just do the Control U, hue saturation, and that'll adjust the whole thing instead of like each highlight and second highlight individually, you know. Alright, and we've got to the point where we can make the color hold now, and this is something that I learned from a video by John Rock, I think his name is, or Roch, who knows. Colorist of Invincible, fuck me. Really, really cool style and great colorist. But he made a tutorial on this, and it's pretty quick. It's quite simple to do. What you do is you can select your render and your lines layer. This is a color hold, I think I mentioned it. Select your lines and render layer, duplicate the layers, and merge them down, so Control E. So now you've got this layer where your lines and render are completely together now. What you want to do is while you still have this copy of the line selected, the lines layer, pick the original lines layer and drag it down to the mask tool, which looks like a box and a circle. And what that'll do is that'll mask everything but the lines in here. Now untick this, whatever it is, chainy kind of thing, select the box and lock your layer. So now what you do is you go to filter, go to blur, box blur, and radius 25, 30, depending on what you want. Go back to your normal lines layer, select soft light, and basically what that process has done is it's made everything in this lines copied layer blur into each other, and because we've masked only where the line should be, all the lines have a slight bit of color in them. And what you can do from then is collect your lines copy layer. Oh baby, zoom out a bit. Select your lines copy layer, adjust the saturation, and you'll see like the colors within the lines are getting more vivid and bright. Adjust saturation to however much you should feel. Drop it down a bit so the lines still have that black, dark quality about them. But it's just a great way of getting a bit of color into your image, into your lines rather, really quick, instead of painstakingly trying to do a color hold everywhere you want it to be, you know, because that would involve going into the lines layer and yeah, painstakingly going over everything. So not good. So what we can do from here is in our lines copy layer, select black and use the brush tool, a soft brush tool at 10% flow again, and any areas that look a bit too bright or colorful, just go over them, and that'll like put us like a slight dark to them, you know, like it'll darken them up a bit. Alright, so it's looking and as you can see, like that kind of transforms the whole image from like blocky black, which was looks like this previously. You know, it really kind of gives it a more painty feel, you know. It's much better, I much prefer it. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'll just add a bit more black to here. Now that we've done that, I think the next step is to work on just some very slight enhancements, and this is what this is all over the line art. So up until this point, everything was done under the line art, apart from the fire. I suppose a lot of this could be done below the line art because, for example, we're going to add some red to Morrigan's skin tone. You know, it's just like to quickly yeah, enhance, like I say. So make a new layer, call it colors, and select a multiply mode. You select a bright red, a light red. Select your soft brush at 10% still, 10% flow. And usually what I do is go over the nose a little bit, just so it just gives more detail to the skin tone, you know. Bit of red on her nose maybe, but it's very slight, you know. Very slight kind of red to her cheeks, almost imperceptible, you know, like everything's quite subtle. And often there's a wee bit of red on the chest and perhaps around the top of the shoulders. A lot of red, like say on a naked figure, would be the knees and the elbows. I guess that's kind of where like the pigment in your skin bunches up and just like feels thicker there, you know. But yeah, there's no knees or elbows to be had here. Maybe a bit on the hand, you know. Just kind of a more realistic feel. This doesn't matter. It's no biggie. You can skip this part entirely, but it does enhance it. And also, while we're on this color layer, we're going to give a bit of color to our lips. So just choose maybe a bit darker, not too saturated, or maybe not. What color is Morrigan's lips? She doesn't have any type of lipstick on, which it doesn't look like. Then we can just make it a slight change in color, just to give that more believable look. And there we go. So she's got some color on her face, got some color on her lips. And I suppose the next step would be I'm gonna add just another layer, an overlay mode, which I'm gonna call FX. And this layer is going to be used as kind of like a hotspot layer. Like if you've seen a lot of like Liquid's work, who colored a lot over Joe Madureira, he does these wee hotspots on the skin like that to kind of, it's almost like it gives it a glossy feel. But I really like it, and I think it improves. Well, it blends itself well with this style anyway. So yes, FX overlay mode, and pick, depending on what color you're going over, I would pick a white, a yellow, an orange, or maybe a green, or whatever, just whatever color kind of works. But I will choose a yellowy orange here, and it's good to give detail to, say, the nose and the lips. Just like the bridge of her nose here. Right, and you've still got your soft eraser, and just kind of blend it in if you have to. Just erase the top of it, right? Lips, you know, there's usually a bit of gloss to them. Just add that. So the overlay layer is basically, it's changing the color depending on the base color. Like everything, it's like the second light source basically. It's just a quick way without having to pick other colors, you know. So as you can see, that's a significant difference to the face just with those two quick lines, you know. You can go in and add however much you want, but keeping it simple, you know, bridge of nose and the lips, great. The hair can use some work, and because it's a green, we can just still use like a yellow orange, you know. No need to change the overlay color, and you can just give it some form, give it a bit of gloss, like so. Right, and the reason this is done above the lines layer is, even if you draw on the lines, it still shows over it, you know, so it does, it looks better, you know. It's not confined to within the lines, you know. You can I guess you got more options, you know. So we added that shine, a wee bit of shine down here. And as you can see, like the darker the base color is, the darker the color will show up in the overlay layer. Alright, going to use the eraser tool just to blend that in a bit more. Maybe some down here. Alright, so round things on the skin can use a bit of gloss. Round things being shoulder, boobs, mostly boobs, you know, like that. We like to draw the attention to the boobs, like it's just what's pretty. Right, and if it does look maybe a bit too blocky, again, just use your eraser tool, your soft brush, and blend it in a little bit. On the shoulder too. Alright, so that's looking really cool, just with little extras, you know, it's all about like small salties. Where have we got? Yeah, right, so yeah, the tights will need a little bit of gloss on them too. And maybe these sleeves. They're not very visible. So as you're trying to get a lighter color, that's too subtle, I think. Go and just pick a white, just pick a brighter version of what you're using. I still don't like the look of that actually. It's too purple, not enough pink, you know, so I don't know. Let's see. We can try an orange. That's not working. Okay, so a brighter yellow seems to do the trick alright. And just pick a desaturated blue, almost bordering on grey, to give the wings a bit of gloss. But not too much, so get in there with your brush and fade it until you feel it fits. Alright, and I think... oh, maybe a bit here. Right, and I think the last thing we need is sorting out the light from the fire. Depending on how, I guess, how bright your main light source is, and in which case this is outside, so like the light source is you know, all over the place. Like the main light source is, yeah, main is very primary, so we're going to notice a lot less our secondaries, and we are going to add a secondary in. We're going to add like just for the sake of easy, we're going to call this rim lighting, or just rim. Make that a hard light layer and keep the opacity at 100. Pick the fire color, like you know, orange, yellow, whatever. Just start with this orange. Select your character's selection at the top of your layer list here, and now just kind of put some orange where you think this fire would be illuminating Morrigan's hand, maybe a bit of her hair as well. Just remember, like, you've always got the option. I might brighten up a bit. Control U for hue saturation. Just make it a bit brighter. Yeah, so maybe going a wee bit up the arm. But also use your eraser brush, you know, always low settings, low flow, just to kind of fade it in. So like I said, you can have a wee bit on the hair. You can keep it blocky to start with, but like I say, always just use your eraser tool to bring it down and make it blend in. And now just do the separate hand, the other side. So as you can see, we're kind of going over the lines here. I guess it just lends more to reality, I guess. You know, like, I think the lines are well, the lines are amazing, obviously. Like, I guess that's kind of why I got into coloring, is because it's like I just love like line art and comic book art and whatnot. However, like it's kind of been my style to make us not think so much on the lines, you know, like with the whole color hold thing, you know, it kind of blends it into the colors, so it's like it's a molding of colors and lines basically. Why do I start talking about lines? I can't remember now. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going over the lines with this color here, so it's kind of making us forget about them for a second. You know, it's making it look not real, but it kind of gives it a real aspect. You know, because well, like, real people don't have like big solid black lines in front of them, do they? And there you go. That's giving us just like an extra layer to the piece. You see, there's a bit of a light hitting off her from the flames. I don't like how yellow it is on the hair, so I'm going to select the hair using our flats layer. Go back up to the rim lighting and do our Control U, and I'm going to drop it to give it a bit more of a red instead of a yellow. So I'll just blend it in, no biggie. Alright, and I think we're... oh no, not quite. Almost done. I was gonna forget about the eyes there, so we're just gonna give the eyes a quick glow, which select them in flats layer, copy and paste from the render layer, but paste above the lines, so they're above the lines layer. Like we done with a fire, it's covered the lines underneath it. So select your lines by control right click, left click, sorry, lines, and then you can delete from that layer, and it'll fit into the lines here. So I keep them selected, and we're just going to use a white with a soft brush to just kind of give the impression of a glow, and just kind of slow gradient in there. And we're going to double click on this. Oh well, shit, I might name that layer, name it eyes. Double click on it, and we're going to do the same thing with our outer glow. So because the eyes are green, you pick a green, maybe a bit more of a blue green, and arrange, you know, like play with the sliders with the size and whatnot, and just make sure they look right, you know. And now she's got glowing eyes. Did I add anything else? I think I added an extra layer for the glow in this. Actually, I'll give it a shot now. Okay. So, if you want to add extra glow to things, a good idea is to make a layer above everything that you want to glow. So the eyes and the fire in this case. Call it glow, and call it hard light mode. Right, so we just pick a color that's close to where we want it. Using the soft brush again, 10% flow. Just kind of dab on top of it so it looks like it's glowing. Now the glow looks a bit too yellow from here, so Control U, and you can use the hue to change to like more of a blue-green, you know. Adjust the saturation, brightness as is needed. And if you feel perhaps there's too much glow around it, you know, like it's going too much onto the skin, just use your soft eraser and fade it in again. In fact, now that I'm seeing the eyes glow so much, I'm going to go back to the rim layer, and I'm going to add some rim lighting to the hair here. You know, just to give it that extra bit of an extra level of lame, I guess. But it shouldn't be too much, you know. So always make sure you just blend it if you can. That doesn't look quite right. Okay, I'm gonna try again. So let me just erase this. Get. Yeah, I think I made it too bright last time. So there you go. That's nice and solid. It looks much better now. All right, and back to the glow layer. Pick a more red color for the flames. We've got our soft brush, 10% flow. Bring it up and just kind of make it. Make it appear like it's glowing. And again, it looks maybe a bit too red, so I'm just going to select it and bump up the brightness. Maybe push it towards orange in the hue. Alright, and that should do the trick. And I think that's our Morrigan done now, finally. Now all I've got to do is add it to this picture, and I think the easiest way of doing that is just flatten the image, copy paste this into here, and okay, I will need to take out this other Morrigan behind, but that's just, you know, it's gonna be a quickie. Just get rid of what we see here. And there you go. The new Morrigan is done. I'll go in and you know, just kind of, you know, redo the background a little bit, just fade it in more. But that's essentially it. That's the coloring style, and that's going to be the new image. So I hope this was helpful in the end, and see if I make any other videos. But it was mainly for Mike. He wanted to see what kind of how I go about doing my style, because it's a cool style. I agree, like I really like the style, and I told him it was quick and it's basic, so hopefully you'll be able to fucking follow everything in here. If you got any questions, just, you know, message me, and I'll see if I can help. Alright, catch you later.